2-1 to Manchester City, and the gap is down to 3 points. This is what Arsenal fans have been dreading for the last couple of weeks. The pattern that has seen Arsenal lose matches and lose form. And here's the thing. On Wednesday night, Manchester City play Burnley. They win that game and they'll be level on points with Arsenal. Now, people are saying that it's in Manchester City's hand. It's not quite, but they will go ahead on goal difference. And I'm not going to pretend that everything is okay, because it's not. I think we are all feeling what has been talked about by media fans, rival fans. The narrative has been spun for 2 months that Manchester City are coming. And they are coming like a house on fire, coming like a speed train, and there's nothing Arsenal can do about it. And on that showing at the Etihad, it seems very accurate that there is nothing that Arsenal can do about it. So is that it? Is that the title done? Is it all over? Arsenal coming second 4 consecutive times. Something that seemed unthinkable at the start of the season. Unthinkable in January, unthinkable in February. This one hurts. This one hurts. But before we go there, I want to talk about 3 things that Arsenal did well, and then 3 things that cost Arsenal in this game. Because it wasn't a capitulation. It was a game that was decided by fine margins. And understanding those margins matter for what comes next. Let's look at the numbers. 2 shots on target in the most important game in 22 years. Arsenal managed 2 shots on target across 90 minutes. City had 5. That number sits uncomfortable because it should. It tells you exactly where the game was lost, not in the defensive structure, in the attacking output. The 41-59 possession split was the plan. Arsenal were never going to dominate Manchester City at the Etihad. Giving City the ball and staying compact was the right idea, but you have to do something when you get it. 8 total shots, 2 on target is not enough to win a title-deciding game away from home. So, what did Arsenal do? That was well. Because they do exist, and these things don't happen in a vacuum, and they matter going into the games that are left. Okay, first of all, Saliba. I thought Saliba was good. Haaland barely had a sniff in that game. Coming into the game with lots of goals, Saliba won a lot of the duels. And listen, there were a lot of things that were, a bit on the edge, and you thought, could it go either way? And the referee let a lot go. A lot of grabbing and a lot of holding and all of that. And made sure that City's most dangerous player had a quiet 90 minutes. Well, almost quiet, because he scored the winning goal. It was a complete individual performance. The goal was not on Saliba. He plays every minute of every Premier League game this season. And on the biggest occasion, I thought he delivered exactly what was needed. He is not the reason that Arsenal lost. Second up for me, Odegaard return and the immediate response. I think, Arsenal went behind 16 minutes in the game, and they could not afford to start slowly. But 2 minutes later, they equalized. Now, listen, that goal was a little bit of fortune, but it was a lot about character. A lot about character in this team, not giving up, not letting their heads drop, looking and seizing an opportunity when he presented itself. Havertz, closing in on Donnarumma and forcing that goal inside was shock, to Etihad, and there was an opportunity to capitalize on that shock. We did not. But it does show something. Arsenal's immediate reaction to going behind at the Emirates tells you that there's belief in this group. A worse team or a broken team, does not respond in 2 minutes at the Etihad after conceding first. And games like this are always decided by such fine margins. Havertz's chance 1-on-1 should have scored. And it just echoes back to Wembley, where you had that chance, you put it in. And when you don't, against a team like Manchester City, against the best teams in the world, they find a way to punish you. Havertz, another one, free header, should have scored. But those were chances that Arsenal created, and those were good things that Arsenal did. We just needed to finish them. And on a day like this, Arsenal came up short. The third thing for me, I think the tactical shape was the right plan. It held for an hour. For 65 minutes, Arsenal defensive structure did exactly what Arteta asked for it. City with 59% possession, managed only 3 shots on target in that period. Rice and Zubimendi worked, especially with Rice moving a lot further up on the pitch. Mosquera against Doku was demanding, but I thought Arsenal did very well defensively. Even when Mosquera, got that yellow card, you're thinking, oh, what's going to happen? I thought he still kept it. Of course, things had to be changed because obviously when Arsenal are getting a bit desperate, things could happen. The game was level going into the second half. The plan was working. City needed a moment of quality to break it, and they got it. So, in a sense, it wasn't all tactical failure. There was a quality difference on that day. Was the reason why Arsenal did not win this game. Okay, 3 things that Arsenal didn't do well, because this cost Arsenal the game. And they need to be said plainly because they keep appearing. 2 shots on target, guys, is not enough. It's not enough. And this is not a new problem. It's a recurring problem of the last 8 weeks. Arsenal are a team that can defend with the best in the league, but cannot consistently manufacture high quality chances when it matters most. Without Saka's direct running, it just seems like Arsenal is missing something. The creative output has really dried up. Madueke had a difficult game against O'Reilly, and it shouldn't be. Eze had his moments, but not enough of them. And listen, a lot of people are quick to jump on Eze. I thought he held his path. He was not responsible for the goal, as much as a lot of people are going to put that down on him, saying he should have been stronger. But sometimes you have to look at the opposition, and the mazy run that Shirky had to score that goal, you got to put your hand up and say, on a day, that was quality. Quality by a player that had no right to go past all of those players to score in tight spaces. So Arsenal have got to look at themselves on that. But Eze had his moments. They weren't enough. And I don't agree with the substitution. I thought there was still something in there that Eze could have brought. And it seems like he was sacrificed for structure rather than for what he can bring on the pitch. And maybe this is the criticism that has always been leveled against Mikel Arteta. And hey, listen, I have sat on both camps. I've been the one who's not been okay with Mikel Arteta, didn't have him at the start, but now find myself defending him as well, because I think that sometimes the outrage is uncalled for. Okay, second down, 65th minute goal. I thought it broke the plan. Arsenal's entire tactical blueprint was built around staying level and then introducing Gyökeres as a game changer. But when City scored, that plan's intended intervention point and was no longer up for Arsenal. When you're chasing a goal at the Etihad with 25 minutes left, rather than protecting a level score, everything changes. The subs came on, Gyökeres came on, Martinelli came on, Trossard came on, but Arsenal were in recovery mode, not execution mode. So chasing that game really, really opened spaces for Manchester City, and it gave them confidence at home with their crowd. Um, Arsenal would have preferred this game to be somewhere else, not at the Etihad. And listen, final thing, guys, the pattern that we cannot ignore anymore. EFL Cup final, FA Cup, Bournemouth, and now City away. That's 4 defeats in 5 weeks across all competitions. The argument was always that the European performances, showed the squad could raise their level for big occasions. But we've lost in 2 finals. I called yesterday a final against the same team, in different ways. We couldn't match Manchester City, and this is painful. It's something that is painful for us Arsenal fans. It really is. Yeah, this looks like a squad that is physically and mentally drained. Carrying the weight of the historical title failures and challenges, and the cracks are visible. The question is whether 5 games of Premier League football is enough to find something different. It has to be. We don't normally do player rating on this show, but it does feel like, just feel like it's a kind of game that is. Listen, Raya, give him a 7. In this game. Mascara, give him a 6. Everyone else struggled to influence the game in any meaningful attacking way. Madueke and Gyökeres both get 5s. Madueke had a very difficult 90 minutes against O'Reilly, and Gyökeres came on to change the game, but found himself chasing it instead. I'll give Rice a 6. It's probably harsh given what he was asked to do without Odegaard at full fitness. But the reality is that in the biggest game of the season, he needed to be the player who dominated, and he did not. For me, Gabriel is a 7. Everybody else gets 6s. And for me, Saliba. On a game that Arsenal lost, I'll probably give him an 8. Probably give him an 8. Listen, the maths is brutal, right? And I'm going to talk about it, because the situation is delicate, and this is tough. Every Arsenal fan will be tough, talking about this game, because you kind of think about what could have been, what could have happened. And here's the brutal truth. If City win all 6 of their remaining games, they're going to finish on 85 points. And if Arsenal win all 5 of theirs, they also finish on 85 points. The title would then be decided on goal difference. And right now, even City is leading on goal difference as well. So City's remaining fixtures look genuinely winnable. Burnley, Everton, Brentford, Bournemouth. These are not the fixtures of a team that is going to slip up through difficulty alone. Arsenal needs City to drop points. That is the honest position. Not doom, but honest. What Arsenal can control is win every game from here. Make City's task as difficult as possible. Newcastle on Saturday is no longer a routine home game. It is effectively the most important game left. Also one note thing, Arsenal still have Champions League football And we're right back where we were last season when we're going to the Champions League semi-final against PSG, and trying to balance with what we can do to hold on to the title. Um, those games are going to take a physical toll on Arsenal, no question about that, because they play Atletico Madrid, a very physical team. Compared to Manchester City, they're going to have the week off, to lock in into all the games that they have to the end of the season. Manchester City will be feeling very confident. And why shouldn't they? They've just beaten Arsenal twice, Chelsea, Liverpool, and it didn't even seem like they left second gear. So this looks ominous, for Arsenal. Look, I want to end on something constructive, because there's a path here, and it's not a narrow one if Arsenal can execute it. First, you need to get Saka back. I think it's very, very clear. He's the talisman of this team. He's capable of doing things that other people on the team cannot do. And every report say that he's close. I think a fit Saka changes the attacking output of this team fundamentally. I think with him, the number of shots on target changes. And if he's available for Newcastle and beyond, I think the version of Arsenal that dropped only 12 points from their opening 30 games is still there, in there somehow. Second, the pattern of this season says Arsenal respond to setbacks. Man United loss, Brentford and Wolves draw, and then you go and you win against Spurs. Carabao Cup defeat and Southampton disappointment, and you get over the line and get into the Champions League semi-final. Arsenal found something after bad runs. They've done it all season. The question is whether there is enough in the tank to do it once more, and to do it 5 times in the league while also playing Atletico Madrid twice, excuse me. And the third thing, and this is most important thing, City are not certainties, right? Brentford away is not a gimme. Everton away is not a gimme. Aston Villa on the final day. If the title is still alive, it's not a gimme. But I think Pep understands all of this, because especially that last game, that could be Aston Villa, not fighting for anything in the league and having one eye on the Europa League final, because it looks very possible that that could be the path for Aston Villa. And you know what Emery is like when it comes to the Europa League. But Arsenal have to keep winning, unless City feel the pressure of needing to win 6 consecutive games. And pressure does things, to teams, even to City. Listen, technically it's 3 points, and it's 3 points until after Wednesday. For now, it's not over, but it is close. Close to the edge, as Arsenal have been since the season started in August. Man in the arena, nerves are a privilege. We said that before this game. It still applies. Arsenal is still top, still leading, still with everything to play for. The fact that it hurts this much, that this defeat feels this significant, is because the price at the end of it is a first league title in 22 years. If it were easy, it would not mean anything. So, listen, we're going to be watching City on Wednesday, watching for Saka's fitness updates, and then get ready for Newcastle on Saturday, because that game matters as much as anything that Arsenal have had to do this season. So, listen, drop your thoughts, 3 ups, 3 downs, in the comments. What do you think was the main reason for the way that Arsenal performed today? If you enjoyed this, hit that like and subscribe button. If you found us the first time, welcome to the family. Not the best of circumstances, I must say, but we have to keep going. We cannot throw it in now, because that's exactly what people want. We need to show fight. We need to show resilience. And we need to go all the way to the end. And listen, if we get to the end and we haven't done it, we can only look at ourselves. in terms of what happened. And then, yeah, people are going to start to talk. There's already conversations about Teta being out, time to sack him, and all of that. And I get the emotions talking. Today is not the time to get into this kind of conversation. Today is the day to acknowledge that we were not the better team, that we lost to a Manchester City that seems to be ominous, a team that has taken away all the things that we've wanted time and time again. And it seems like the bullying in the school, we've got no answer, for it. And it hurts, and it's painful, but we've got to keep going. Come on, you Arsenal.